Our topic of the day comes devolution and the youth. We want to understand 6 years into devolution, has it benefited the youth in any way? Has it impacted their lives across the country in all the 47 counties that we have? And we have in studio some guests who would know what this issue is all about. To my left here is Roy Sasaka, who is the CEO of the National Youth Council, to represent the government, of course. Karibu sana. We also have Vivienne Taa, who is a governance consultant. And to the extreme is Gerald Gichuhi, who is a creative director at Tujenge Art Kenya, also representing the voice of the youth in this particular issue. Karibuni sana. Welcome to studio. Before we get into it, let's cross to Kisumu County, where Uko Okusa is, also to talk about this issue. Okusa, how has Kisumu dealt with this issue of the youth within, the confines of the county, trying to improve their lives in whatever way, if at all?
Yes, Nyabola, in 2017, just towards the run-up to 2017 elections, the current governor, that is Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, while launching his manifesto, which he enumerated what he called his transformative 10-point agenda for Kisumu. And in that agenda, he had put, or he mentioned that he will create job opportunities for the youth through sustainable development in agriculture, industry, and even in the service sector. He had actually, again, promised that he'll ensure that youth and women become his main agenda for Kisumu. And right behind me here are some of those youths who the governor had promised to create job opportunities for. Let's hear from them. Start by introducing yourself, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Kevin Gala, a resident of Kisumu County. First of all, I want to appreciate the efforts of devolution so far. But in line to the conference that is happening, it's just slightly unfortunate. I'm passionate about the corruption that is the agenda. But if you look at it keenly, it is now becoming political. The entire conference, what we are getting from the media is more of political than the agenda of how to uplift devolution.
Okay. Now let's bring it down here to Kisumu. As far as devolution and the youth is concerned, yes. Are you satisfied with what has happened so far as a youth?
Well, in Kisumu County so far, you can see youths are not having the adequate opportunity to exploit employment within the county. Number one, there is the issue of tender. Most counties are subjected to giving jobs through tender. And you'll find that these tenders that are being given, they are not localized. They are tenders that go to foreign people outside. These foreign people, when they come, they normally come with their people. They export labor from outside. So in as much as the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution, wants that if there's any employment or any job that is being given at the county level, 70% should be going to the locals, then 30% can now go outside. Trust me, the way things look like, it's like 70% goes outside, then 30% goes to the local. This is because the qualifications that are put for these tenders are so high that you find our bosses have specific targets of those who are supposed to be winning this tender. So these people come to do jobs this side. They come with an organized way of exporting labor, in that you will find a contractor will come on board. When the contractor comes, he will really try to frustrate the locals to go with what exactly he wants. This could be in a way of payment. He will be squeezing the amount to be paid so that locals can demonstrate against the amount. Okay. It's a very easy way for him to bring.
Besides tenders, what else? What other opportunities lie for the youth in the counties as far as devolution is concerned?
The reason why I'm specific on tender is because the tenders takes the bigger share of the county. Okay. And my suggestion was, if we can have direct labor from these jobs that are being given, it can really increase the capacity of youths getting jobs. That is a very best. You remember sometimes back we had kazi kwa vijana that was very successful. Vijana walikuwa wanapata kazi. But somewhere along the line, there were some strong forces that fought against this kazi kwa vijana that it ended up collapsing by delay of payments for our youths, so that they can look like people who cannot work. But if you look at the target keenly, it was very effective. Youths were coming out to do these jobs, no matter how bad it looked like. But they were feeling like they're now being accommodated within the system. So the county government should stop giving tender, because this tender, at the end of the day, if there's any corruption that is popping up, what starts is the word tender. Tenders were not there in the era of Moi. Tenders were not there in the era of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. It is something that just came recently. Yeah, and it's really frustrating, the gap of employing youths, apart from the normal direct employment that the county is doing. So what we want again is that the government should open up the gap of instilling business culture within our community as Luo Nyanza. If they can do that by first opening subsidized or free training for business, it can really help us now start knowing how we can do business. Because at the end of the day, if somebody is not well equipped, well educated on how to manage funds, it is very difficult for you to be given money. We even fear taking loans because we don't have that culture of doing business. This way, I think if the county can consider giving business education free of charge or at a subsidized rate for anybody without conditions to qualify to do this course, it will help us now engage in business so that we can also be independent in doing business.
Okay. So if you are to rate devolution in a scale of 1 to 9 right now, as far as matters youth and job creations are concerned, how will you rate it?
I'll give it 2 out of 10. I'll give it 2 out of 10. Because even now where we are, you'll see there are so many youths who are just congested in one place, trying to survive either on handouts or very little. And you see the economy today, there's so high inflation that cannot accommodate the amount that we are getting today. And you see, this is also generating insecurity. This is also generating insecurity, where you now find youths being idle and they find themselves in a situation whereby they don't like, but because they have family to feed, they also have other people depend on them. They are forced to engage in insecurity. And in as much as youth unemployment is concerned, there are other issues that we think that should also be, there are other issues that we also think should be highlighted. One of them is about infrastructure. Infrastructure is the major pillar of strengthening the economy. For example, we have access roads. You know, we have Kera and we have Kura. Under Kura, all access roads are now under the county government. But there's so much politics, especially when you look at the Kisumu East area.
Let's put a comma on that point and then hear your colleague here, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, just start by introducing yourself.
Okay, majina yangu naitwa Mondi Eric. Mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa. Na hapa we are really facing a lot of challenges. Like now ukiona vijana wako hapa wengi, tumekosa kazi, tunajaribu kutafuta kazi hatupati, tunarudi mtaani, tunataka tukule, tuko na familia na tuwezi kwa sababu ya makazi. Tuko na mto hapa yenye nafaa tutumie, tunaweza fanya hata relegation na hizo mto yetu, na tuwezi fanya nayo saa hizi kwa sababu mtoni haiko. Si ile mto yenye tulikuwa tunajua. Mto yetu hapa imekuwa affected na kampani yenye iko hapa.
Kwa hivyo wewe umeridhika na yale development county government kwa sasa imefanya kwa vijana?
Bado sijaridhika kwa sababu mimi siwezi sema mimi peke yangu, but as you can see as all of us here, hatujapata anything, so there is no way inaweza sema tumeridhika.
Expectation yako ilikuwa ni gani?
Expectation yangu as individual or a majority yenye tuko hapa, naweza sema even a few of us hapa tukipata kazi inaweza kuwa mzuri, we can support the rest. You see that?
Kazi aina gani?
Kazi ya mikono, kazi ya ofisi, tumesoma hapa na tukienda kutafuta kazi za maofisi, watu wako pale washaajiriwa. Company kikuja hapa tukijaribu kuapply, wanakuja na wafanyikazi hapo. So there is no way these companies are helping us in our area.
Kwa hivyo you're trying to say that as far as you're concerned, the county has, the devolution has not touched on the youth's lives positively as you had expected.
Yes, the devolution haijaguza ground venye mimi nilikuwa nafikiria. Because if you had a total of the devolution, sisi tulikuwa tunajua a youth at us tunaweza pata kazi. Kuna kazi nyingi tunaweza pata through the county. na hatuwezi pata hizo kazi. Reason why we don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Kama hii kazi imetengewa kwa sheria ya youth, kama contracts, hii ndogo ya youth, disabilities, we are not seen. Yes. Yes, kama hii kampuni ziko hapa ya choma. Wafanyakazi wa hapa wametoka nje. Tunafikiri 30% ndio faa itoke nje na 70% itoke hapa. Hakuna. Ama hii ya sukari, hii ya kibosi. Hakuna wafanyakazi wametoka nje. Juzi wameandika madereva hapa. Dereva wametoka nje. Watu wetu walishaandika hapa wanafukuzwa.
Kwa hivyo umejua sasa hii ni second term ya devolution. Kulikuwa na first term imeisha 5 years. Sasa tuko kwa second term. Bado hujaridhika na yale devolution imefanya kwa vijana
yote, kama hii feeder roads, kama hii barabara yetu hapa, hakuna maintenance yoyote inafanyika. Sisi tuko hapa tunatoa tax, hizi magari zetu naona tunafanya kazi hapa. Kila spare parts imeongezwa juu, wewe ukikimbia hii barabara spring inavunjika. Yes. Sasa hii devolution first idea ku maintain hii road. Mali tunafanya kazi hapa boda hapa. Ukiona hapa pale mvua imenyesha hii inaangushwa chini. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Edmond, those are some of the views from the youths here at Kibos. Actually, we are at Kibos Market within Kisumu County, just giving us their thoughts regarding the devolution as far as it's concerned. Remember, this is the second term of the devolution. We've already gone 5 years, now we are on the second, and there are not very positive feelings there from the youths here. They are talking about tenders not being awarded on merit. They have even spoken about limited job creations as opposed to what some of this government or governors had promised when they are campaigning, that they've not, the youth here are saying that they are yet to feel the effect of those campaign promises that were given by some of these governors as far as creation of job opportunities for the youth is concerned. Back to you, Edmond.
All right, thank you so much, Uko Kusa, talking to the youth in Kisumu County, just getting to understand what they think about devolution really, and if at all it has impacted the lives of the youth from that region. And back to my panel, I was in Kirinyaga as well, and the feeling really is across the board, if you think about it. The youth, they are saying a lot of those opportunities are not shared equally in terms of the age gradings and groups. And I want to start with you, Roy, as the CEO of the National Youth Council. What is your reaction to what you see right there? Because you're supposed to be the voice of the youth.
Thank you so much, Edmond. And picking up from the discussion that the gentleman from that place, my constituency youths were discussing, I would want to agree, first of all, that actually the absorption rate, the government intention, first of all, was to empower the youth. And the only way to empower youth was to create an avenue where youths can take advantage of the procurement opportunities in government and generate income from that. And that's when the president initiative of AGPO came into place. But unfortunately, as we speak, Edmond, I have to agree that the absorption rate actually at the counties is very low. And there have been, as youth, we've experienced so many challenges in terms of the requirements that we need to access, and actually the operationalization. Are we really being advanced that percent, or it's going to another group? And what else now can we do to capacity build our youth to take advantage of that? So it is really a fact that we need to address.
Vivienne, one of the things that was talked about really, in the coming of the Jubilee government, and they spoke about 30% of government tenders and opportunities for the youth, all right? Has this been really implemented from the national level all the way to the county level?
I think it would be interesting to see the numbers, the actual numbers of what percentage of youth. But then they would differ if you think about it from county to county. From county to county, but it would be interesting to just have a look at whether the youth actually really get this 30%. But the other interesting thing is what the gentleman from Kisumu spoke about, the requirements, and even the capacity of the youth to deliver on some of these things. So maybe, from a county perspective, they really need to look at ways to build capacity of the youth, look at training opportunities, and build their capacity so that they're able to compete effectively. Otherwise, it's fruitless to say, we are offering 30% of tender opportunities, but you don't have the requirements they're asking for, and you don't have the capacity.
Okay. So you're saying, to a certain extent, the youth have to blame for...
Well, I think it goes both ways. You know, the government fronts the opportunity and the youth have to step up and take it. I mean, I understand there are challenges in regard to what the requirements you need to be able to access these things, but the youth also need to take a step in knowing, you know, if I need 1, 2, 3, how do I get it? Where can I get help? But it's not just the youth to do it. I mean, the county governments also have to take a role in making sure the youth in their county are properly trained, are mentored, you know, are taught on what the requirements are, or maybe also just make some drop some restrictions so that more youth can be able to take up these opportunities.
Okay. Yeah. Gerald, you have an initiative known as the Tujenge Art Kenya, which basically is just you and your colleagues coming together to create your own initiative and try to find funds and things like that to be able to progress in your own way, not involving the county government. But have you tried, because you operate within Nairobi, have you tried to reach out to the county government and see what sort of help they can offer you?
Yes, we have tried to look at county government, even bodies that institutions. Let's say case scenario that I'm in an industry of creatives. I'm in an industry that we are put under the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and case scenario, if you take that docket, there's no like proper policies or programs that help people under the docket per se. I will come forward a proposal and it will not even see the day of light in such government offices. It's a hassle. You do it as per your own liking.
But have you reached out to the county government?
Yes, I have.
What was the response?
The response is...
what were you looking from them? Funding? What did you need from them?
You see, like I have a program to promote visual arts in different counties. So the mandate of, you see, the capacity of doing such a program is not light. You'll need some sort of help and funding and stuff. Knocking into these doors, they will look at your proposal, like it, but then after that, having someone look at into it deeply is a problem.
Okay.
Is totally a problem.
Roy, you listen to your people. I mean, you're supposed to be advocating for at least some of these things for them. You're working on a national youth policy right now. What is it about? What are you looking to engrave into this paper?
Yes, the National Youth Policy Review process that we're doing right now, Edmond, is a process that we're trying to come up. You know, the first policy was done in 2007. After 2007, there have been so many emerging issues that has come up that we really need to address as a country. Issues of radicalization, issues of high rates of unemployment. So the spirit of the 2007 policy has a vacuum. And that's why now the current policy that we are reviewing is to take care of those issues that were not seen before and put them. The issues of technology. How do youths take leverage of technology to come about empowering themselves? So the process actually is to make sure that the really needs of the youth from the grassroots in the current contemporary society have been addressed in the policy. And again, what we're looking at, and we're also encouraging the county government, we realize now that we're talking about youth and devolution, we realize that so many county governments have taken an initiative to create legislative frameworks for youth, but they were doing it in vacuum. So we realize that this process needs to be fast-tracked so that subsequently other county governments can tap on existing framework of the youth policy and now custom make it, so that we have a legal framework that is communicating to each other.
All right.
So we are at advanced stage, we are at validation, and we are still getting views and fine-tuning the document.
Who are you getting the views from?
We've engaged all the stakeholders. I've engaged my youth who are my constituency. We've engaged the MPs. We've engaged actually the churches. We've done the private sector. We've made sure that all the stakeholders, we are having validation forums from across all the stakeholders. So we have actually made it participatory.
So you say this policy is supposed to be a framework of some sort that highlights how that structure needs to look like from the national government, and you say it could be adopted by the county governments. talk to me about the elements of this structure, of this framework. What specifics are you dealing with? Are you dealing with unemployment? Are you dealing with training? Are you dealing with technology? Are you dealing with, say, arts, like what he works under?
It seems you've read the document, Edmond.
You're still working on it.
But what you're saying are the issues that are concerning you. Issues of unemployment. How are we going to tap into that? Issues of creative industry. The opportunities available into it. Issues of mentorship. We are saying that our youths need to be mentored to take advantage of available opportunities, and also just so that the transition from youth into the other sphere is smooth and very not turbulent.
Yes.
We are talking of issues of volunteerism, community service. How do we engage our youth at community level, down at the grassroots? We are talking of the issues of technology. Issues of blue economy, which is a current emerging issue actually. And that blue economy came in after we started the public participation. They told us, look here guys, this is a current issue of blue economy. How do youths tap into the blue economy? So those are the current issues that the youths on the streets, how do we take advantage and how do we solve that? So those are the issues majorly which we are trying to handle and tackle in the policy.
Vivienne, Kenyans are known for doing very good papers and policies, you know, beautiful documents, very colorful, with structures and everything in between. But the issue of implementation, you know, to the latter. And you know, there's the issue of 70% of the population being 35 years old and below, all right? And between 18 and 35, which should be the youth essentially, is 55%. And you see them, they are complaining about not being reached by some of these opportunities. 70%, say, of the population not being reached. Who is being reached in that case?
I think the challenge may be in the way that participation is done and communication. Because you find that most counties and even governments, ministries, when they send out communication, they'll probably use the newspaper. Most of the youth are engaged on radio and social media.
Yeah.
So it means you will lose like 2/3 of that group. They will probably not see, probably not engage. So maybe government and, you know, even the counties need to relook at how are we engaging the youth?
Okay.
How are we, you know, bringing them close so that we get their views? Their voices need to be heard, because ultimately, if you're having 55% of your population, you know, between 18 and 35, that's really, really huge, and that's like your biggest, you know, workforce, ultimately. So we need to rethink how are we engaging the youth? You know, when we talk about having public participation, what does it really mean? Is it just having a conference of like, you know, 100, 200 people and, you know, ticking a box? Or are we really going to the ground and hearing the voices of the people on the ground, what their issues are? It's not enough to say we've given a GPO opportunities, you know, 30% goes to youth, 30% goes to women. How many youth even know about it? For starters, how many youth are able to take advantage of it? How many youth are set up in such a manner that when an advert is set out, they can actually, you know, sign up for the opportunity? And not even that, even after you get the opportunity, how many youth are able to deliver because they have access to credit, for example?
Yeah.
And we know that many counties delay in payments. A lot of these people are just, you know, starting out. So if you give a youth an opportunity maybe to supply something, and then you pay them after 90, 120 days, how are they going to sustain their business?
Exactly.
So there are a lot of these issues that really need to be looked into if you're really serious about supporting the youth in Kenya.
All right. Let's talk to Gerald. You run an initiative that promotes, you know, creative arts, and I'm sure you have people or your colleagues who do designs and beautiful artwork and stuff like that.
Yes.
Have you tried to sell them to, say, any arm of government or any level of government, to say the county exhibitions and things like those? And if so, then how was the process for you and the issue of the payment that she talks about?
So yeah, like I have interacted with a few government agencies.
Yes.
At first they will like the idea, but then the implementation of the idea will become a tussle. For example, if you get funding from a government, you get funding, but then it comes after the project is done. I have a case scenario of a project that I did, and the funding came after the project was done. You see, some of these, but unfortunately or fortunately, it came from one of the agencies that is sitting on this panel.
The National Youth Council.
The National Youth Council. So some of these...
Roy, you paid someone for work that had been done. Or at least funding in that case.
Okay, just on that, as we pick the discussion, is in the youth space, we have different actors in the youth space. We have the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Maybe I'm just clarifying for the sake of Gerald also. We have the affirmative, those are the affirmative funds, and of course the Women Enterprise Fund.
Yes.
We have the National Youth Service, and then we have the National Youth Council. Now, of course, the first one is affirmative funds. The second one is just youth service in the NYS. And then we have now the National Youth Council. National Youth Council, what we do is we don't give funding. What we do is we advocate for youth inclusion, the youth voice. And that one brings actually to the discussion we are saying, when we are talking about youth and devolution. We are saying how were the youth even included to start with in the devolution? Because we are discussing of devolution the 6th year online, but I will be very keen as where I stand to know how many youths actually. And to discuss on that. When I came in, which is just recently at the council, we realized that the devolution conference preparation had gone at an advanced stage, but we realized that there is a gap. The youth participation had not been put into factor in the planning. So we are having here a planning committee planning for the devolution conference, but we don't have the youth segment being involved. And that was we tried to rush and bring the Ministry of Devolution on the table, told them, please, can we even have 500 youths attending this? Yes, so that we make sure that the youth voice has been heard. We had logistical issues, and I'm hoping that next year coming forward, we'll
at national and county government levels, and then a bit of it on health as well. Being a devolved function, we've had challenges with that. There was no space for the youth, like he says, not involved, no session or panel to say discuss issues revolving around the youth, and yet there's 70% of us here.
It's true. Actually, even when you think about governance from a county perspective, I mean, other than the maybe slots given for nomination for youth and maybe women, I'd be interested to see how many CECs, even like in the counties, are actually, youth, are actually given opportunities to lead. It's not enough to say, we are hearing your views and your voices. Really, really push.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gerald, as we go into a break, are you aware of this issue of the National Youth Policy, first of all, as a youth who is targeted by this document? Are you aware that there exists anything of that kind?
Of a document?
Yes. The youth policy that he talks about?
No. So
you're not aware, meaning it hasn't reached out to the people, all the way to the people that it should be getting to. Who then did you talk to in your deliberations? Who did you consult? Yeah.
Sorry, Edmond, if I may. He mentioned that when you present proposals like to these county governments or government agencies, it's like they accept it, but it never sees the light of day. So maybe also just move out of our structured way, or I think it's a culture change. Youth need to be taken a lot more seriously. I mean, they're educated, they're capable, they can do things. And with the onset of technology, a lot can change if they're just given like that space to explore their ideas. And actually, we should really, really see how the creative arts or the creative industry can be used to create jobs and promote, you know, employment. A really good example is, you know, this famous footballer, Wanyama,
yes.
He plays for Tottenham. I mean, if it wasn't for football, who would even know Wanyama? And it's because he got an opportunity to practice a skill that he's good at, and that changed his life, changed his family's life. But if, for example, we don't promote things like sports and you know, areas where it doesn't have to be intellectual. I mean, there's a space for intellectual progress, but there's also the arts and sports, which I think if we really invested in, the youth, a lot of the youth would really be absorbed.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, our first break on the show. When we come back, we are going to talk about the role of the youth themselves. What do they have to do to make sure that they are reached, or at least, you know, feel the impact of devolution and all those other initiatives that the government, both county and national, have put in place to develop them. Let's go to Migori County, where Bernard Ojwang is standing by with some of the people involved, at least the youth from that county, and just talk to them about what they have experienced. Bernard, what is the situation like in Migori County?
Well, thank you very much, Edmond. It is the last day, that is the annual, 6th annual devolution conference is coming to an end today in Kirinyaga, and Deputy President William Ruto will close it officially. And with the devolution in place, remember when leaders, politicians were campaigning, many youths were promised a lot of jobs, and also they each and every time we usually hear youth are being urged to go for the tenders at the county level and also at the national level. But of course, with me here at youth, we'll be trying at least to interact with them just to know whether they have benefited from devolution since it was rolled out in 2010. Joining me is one of the karibu hapa. Pengine hebu tueleze kwa majina waitwa nani? Hii mambo na devolution, nyinyi kama vijana kutoka vijana humu nchini mmeweza kufaidika?
Mimi naitwa Sakario Umomolo, najulikana kwa majina kama Nyakwar Kola. Mimi kama naweza kuongea juu ya devolution, nataka niambie wa viongozi yetu kwamba sisi kama wanarika wa youth hatuwezi pata nafasi kwa sasa kuongea juu ya devolution kama kazi, opportunities, jobs. Kuna kazi kwenye county zetu, na hata kwenye hospitals yetu hakuna matibabu.
Je, mshajaribu kutafuta hizi kazi?
Yes, kazi tulijaribu kama youth na kutaka kufanya tenders, na sisi hatuwezi pata. Unaweza unaweza kuenda kutaka kazi na unapata kama mbele yako amepewa wasee wenye walifanya kazi kama chiefs, or wenye walifanya kama walimu, wenye waliretire, ndio wametengeneza companies ya kufanya tender. Wao ndio wenye wanapatiwa chance ya kufanya tender. Sisi kama wanarika wa youth hatuwezi fanya kazi chochote kwenye devolution. Hiyo ndio tunawaambia sasa, kama tukiongea sasa juu ya devolution, sisi kama kuna kazi ya kuendesha pikipiki hatuwezi pata mapato yetu kama wanarika wa youth.
Asante sana. I'll speak to another person here. Join me here. Devolution is in place. Do you have something to celebrate about?
Okay, actually we have nothing to celebrate about the youth because currently devolution has brought nothing effective on our side as youth. Majorly we speak of job opportunities and so on. We as youths, we are not prioritized. We are not given that opportunity to access to some jobs. You find some posts that are majorly meant for youths are given to people, to old people. For instance, when you speak of posts, the youth post that has been given to Moody Awori, there are many youths who are learned and they are making outside. I don't understand the reason why the government has to give this chance to an old person who is not in the age bracket of the youth. Now, to the national government, you can remember when the politicians were campaigning, they were promising a lot of job opportunities. They were promising a lot of priorities to the youth at large. But we are coming to get the contrary part of it. We are getting the opposite of what they were meaning. Now, as youth, we have nothing to celebrate unless otherwise. Now, and when this conference is coming to an end, let those who are celebrating to celebrate. But as the youth, we have nothing to celebrate. In fact, we are shedding tears when we see them celebrating, spending a lot of money there, and those who are celebrating are the old people. It is like now the devolution is meant for the old. It has nothing to do with the youth.
They are saying that there are tenders at the county level, at the national level. Do you usually apply for these tenders?
We apply for tenders, but we are not prioritized. We are not given that opportunity to access to these tenders. The tenders is given to those who know someone and who has something in hands. But as youth, we have nothing that we have. Is when we are tamiking, we are looking for. And therefore, we have nothing to give. What I can say as interfere with this issue of devolution is all about corruption. And I want to appreciate our president for the fight that is coming in with. Now, if he continues the fight of fighting corruption, I think as youth will be on a better side and we shall be asked to the right position.
What do you think should be done with the devolution in place? What do you think should be done, you as youth, at least to realize the benefits of or benefit from devolution?
I can say this cry of maybe lacking of opportunity. Earlier on, it was all of the women, and these people came with the modality of creating a special seat for women in the county government. I think this should also be done to the youth, so that they may get someone to represent them in the assemblies, to represent them in the both national assembly, in the county assembly, and also in the Senate, because the fact that youth are not represented, and therefore their issues are not listened to, because there is no one who is in the age bracket of youth to carry the youth problems to the assemblies. Now, I think there should be creation of a special suit for the youth.
I'll speak to another person here. Join me here. We have tenders. Each and every time you usually hear our leaders appealing to you to go for these tenders. And you've just heard from your friends here, they are saying that you don't get it. Is it true that you are to be blamed that you don't go for these tenders?
Now, thank you. There's no you can be blamed, because we as youths, the tenders are basically given to the old men, and in my view, job opportunities and tenders are also devolved. Why? We at first celebrated as youths that job opportunities will be given to us as youths, but instead, the jobs and the tenders are given to the old men as per how you are known in the government and as per how you are known in the county assembly. So we youths, we are not happy about it.
What do you think should be done for you to celebrate?
Now, I suggest youth should be represented in the National Assembly and in the county assemblies, at least for us to get people who can fight for us, who can speak on our behalf and to fight for us for the tenders.
But we have youthful leadership there at the National Assembly and also at the county assembly. Do you think they are not doing enough to help you?
Now, they may be doing enough, but they are few. Their voice cannot be heard. Even in the elective posts, it is the old men who are elected, directly given the certificates to vie for the elective posts. So in my view, I think many youths as possible should be elected in both National Assembly and the county assemblies, at least to fight for us and speak on our behalf. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I'll speak to the last person here, Edmond. What do you think should be done for us, at least to ensure that you as youths, Kenyan youths, benefit from devolution once and for all?
For as much as the devolution was launched, up to now it is coming to an end, but we as youths, we've not benefited from it. And I think what should be done as per the Kenyan government is that they should create some leadership that can fight for the youths. And as much as President is fighting for corruption, it is not that 100% done. We actually ask for the president to at least come up with some strategies that can help fight corruption, so as youths can get those opportunities in the counties or in the national government. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Edmond, you've judged from the youths here. They are saying that the main issue here, they are talking about corruption. They are saying that corruption has really barred them from benefiting from devolution, saying that each and every time they go for these jobs, be it at the national government or at the county government, they are sidelined and they are not given that opportunity at least to express or showcase what they are capable of doing, and also they are appealing to for the national government leaders, that is President and Deputy President, at least to come up with the initiative of ensuring that leaders are also, young people are also nominated at the National Assembly, are also at the County Assembly, so as to enable them benefit from devolution. But so far they are saying they have got nothing to celebrate about devolution. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. Speaking to the youth of Migori County, they are saying they have nothing to celebrate as far as devolution is concerned. And I'm back here with my panel. Vivienne, let me talk to you. He brought about the issue of representation, all right? Appointments and the voices of the youth being heard, at least at the county level, in terms of speaking about the issues that affect them, tenders and those other things. What do you think about the issue of representation in terms of appointments into state jobs at national level and at county level as well?
I agree with him.
Yeah.
You can count the number of, below 35 appointments in government institutions,
yes.
Agencies, parastatals, even Parliament. Although Parliament has slots for youth, and so that's a little different, but in terms of state appointments and any government-related offices, you can count. You can count just how many youth are actually. So what needs to be done?
Do we need to develop a framework, a legal framework, like say the 2/3 gender rule sort of thing?
I don't think really it should be a framework thing. Maybe just goodwill. You know, if we have political goodwill, because ultimately they're political appointments. So if there's political goodwill about giving youth space and opportunities, then we will see that happening. It will cease to be just talk, and we'll actually see actions.
Gerald, do you feel like the youth are represented well in these positions, whether it's in the, the county executive arms, say in the national executive arms, in terms of appointments generally?
I will not say, given that the youth are the biggest percentage of population in Kenya, I will not say it's well represented. But I will say they will need to support initiatives that the youth come with. It's not a must you employ someone into those government agencies and offices, but if you support the initiatives, the projects that they have, their careers that they have, it will be a better improvement.
How do you think this should be done, in your opinion, at least?
In my opinion, most of our youths have programs, have projects, have ideas that can be implemented, have solutions that can be better used to make this country better. Some of these projects, if they endorse some of these projects, I think that would be made better.
Okay. Roy, yes.
Allow me to just comment on something he said. Giving the youth, supporting their initiatives. One of the biggest impediments to that is that the youth actually don't have access to these, government agencies. It's very, very difficult to get an audience or even get your proposal to a point where it's actually being considered and maybe supported. So one of the other things maybe we need to look at is also just setting up systems or structures that allow the youth to access these people, be they, elected leaders or just government officials, because it's very difficult. It really is very difficult. I feel him. Yeah.
A lot of red tape. And first of all, I want you to talk about the issue of representation. How is it being approached in your new policy?
Thank you so much, Eddie. I like the pickup of the discussion. I think they could have no better time to discuss this. As we speak right now, let me refer to my ACT, National Youth Council. One of the major mandates of NYC was to promote youth inclusion in the governance structure. That is, the spirit of that was to make sure that we nominate youth to sit on those governance structure up the way from the boards, the committee level, until the grassroots, even that PTA school committee. National Youth Council needed to have that strength. So we realized that as a council, the function was promote. Now promote, you don't have the powers to enforce or even the negotiating power. We can just do an audit. We realize that only 43 youths in all state corporations, and a state corporation has a membership of 7 to 9. So if a percentage of 43 means that is like 1%, youth representation on the government structures in terms of boards. So we realized promoting is not good enough for us to actually realize this. And as we speak right now, Eddie, we are in the process of amending our Act, National Youth Act. We are with the vision of how do we give power NYC to even negotiate, and also with a goodwill, as Vivienne said, how to make sure that youth actually sit, they come with a seat on the decision table. We don't just have the bystanders out there, people making decisions for our consumption. We bring youths on the sitting table.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
When was the last time you did an audit on the same?
We did it, that is last year.
What were the numbers like?
The numbers were 43, and that is from a representative of 250 state corporation, and a state corporation has 7 to 9. So when you do 43 and we just do, that is like 2,000, eh? When you do a percentage, that is 1% of youth on those on the city.
And what were your recommendations after that?
Yeah, now that is where now after doing an audit and we have the report, we realize now how do we enforce this? Do you just wait on the goodwill? Do you go negotiating, or we need to have a mechanism to empower and say NYC should be given a mandate to be nominating, so that it's legislative. Now, when that is put into framework, then we have the powers. We can ask, we are supposed to have this. Has it been adhered to? So that at the end of the day, we ensure that youth have been mainstreamed. I want to commend the women in leadership. They have done a lot, but a lot needs to be done in the youth space. Yes, in terms of representation.
Vivienne, he says 1% from the last study that they did, and he's sitting here comfortably. You know, they're working on a policy and all of that, and of course he says they've made recommendations to the relevant authorities. How should this issue be approached, in your opinion, in terms of representation and appointments? Should there be a framework that is actually put in paper in a legal manner to make sure that this is implemented? We've had challenges with the 2/3 gender rule, which is a law basically, but we are still struggling to, you know, to pass a bill in Parliament. How will this be done?
Actually, just because you've mentioned the 2/3 gender rule, in which we see clearly the reason why the bill still hasn't gone through is basically there's lack of political goodwill. So that's why I go back to my issue of political goodwill. Because if we have political goodwill, even without the framework, we will get the numbers in. Because of the recognition of who the youth are in this country, what their contribution is, and what they are able to do.
What is the nature of this goodwill, if I may ask? What needs to be done?
Edmond, let me give you an example. You remember when the VAT bill was up for voting in the National Assembly? Yes. The government used its entire machinery to ensure that it went through despite every obstacle and every opposition. Yes. It did not matter who did not agree or accept, the bill was passed and signed into law. So it means if the government wants to do something, they will do it. They will do it with a legal framework, or even, you know, with as little framework as there is. So that's why I keep saying we really need the political goodwill. If the leadership in Kenya is serious about inclusion of the youth, in governance, in politics, in leadership, then even without an existing framework, even without his the policy they are working on, you will see not just 1%, you know, maybe 50%. Yeah, because if they're 55, youth is 55%, then really that means that's your main workforce. Those are the people who actually produce for Kenya. Those are the people we'd be seeing in these boards, but we are not seeing them. Yeah.
Let's go to Kirinyaga County again, where Melita Oletengais is there for us. Melita, 3 days of deliberations at the conference, the youth not really talked about.
Indeed, Edmond, 3 days of expansive deliberations on different areas, of course, mainly touching on the Jubilee's Big Four agenda here at the Kirinyaga County. And of course, this is the last day of the devolution, the 6th devolution conference here. And the Deputy President, William Ruto, is expected to arrive here later on in the day. But of course, today, as you've mentioned also, today we have topics also being discussed by different panels. And this revolves around affordable housing, agriculture, and of course the manufacturing agenda. And as you can see, Edmond, is that at the moment I'm standing in among some of the stands of exhibitors here in the devolution venue here. And of course you can see, as you can see, those pictures you're seeing at the moment just show you some of the exhibitions shown here by some of the exhibitors. Of course you can see honey there, and remember many of the exhibitors here who have thronged this particular venue in thousands include private exhibitors, exhibitors from the county government. And now I'm just going to take you through some of the county governments who have been able to arrive here and showcase some of their items. Remember, this is Tharaka Nithi County, and coincidentally the governor of Tharaka Nithi, Muthomi Njuki, is also at the stand here, just also visiting the stand. And of course what you can see right there are pictures of banana. Remember, banana bunch rather. Remember, the Tharaka Nithi County has sold itself as a haven for value addition, and you can see materials here. You can see yogurt, we have honey, we have pineapple chips there, we have jam also. These are just some of the products showcased here by Tharaka Nithi County government, just showing strides made in the manufacturing sector. And remember, manufacturing is one of the topics that will be discussed here at the devolution conference today here, of course, inside the main norm. But just to get views of the Tharaka Nithi governor here, Muthomi Njuki, regarding some of the key aspects in order to achieve the manufacturing agenda as well as value addition as far as agriculture is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us on NTV. Just we're seeing that you are also touring your stand as well. Are you impressed by what you're seeing?
Yes, I wanted to see how our people are faring compared to the rest of Kenya, and I can see we are moving together. We are not so much behind, neither are we very much ahead. We can do better, but I am satisfied that we have contributed to the Big Four in a big way. Yes. Because if you look behind us here, we have a tractor which is manufactured in Tharaka Nithi, which can be able to plow a farm at 700 shillings per acre. And you know the average cost is usually around 2,500 using the normal conventional tractor. So that is very good. But the most impressive technology is this one here, where you know fencing is one of the most traditional things that are done by farmers and people around Kenya. And in Tharaka Nithi, we have a team that has been able to produce very easy technology to be able to make chain link of any height. The conventional ones we find in the shops has limited heights, maybe 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. This one, they can actually come to your farm and produce for you what you want in terms of up to even 14 feet in terms of height. And it is a very portable machine, as you can see. And the portability means that it is possible for them to bring it to your farm and produce for you the quantity that you need and the quality. Then they can pack their machine after that.
Quite impressive innovation there. And of course your county also has been at the forefront of advocating for value addition in agriculture, and you've seen a number of items that you're showcasing here. First of all, in terms of value addition, just tell us the pros that this does to the county in terms of farmers and also revenue for the county.
Thank you. We realize one of the biggest problems in agriculture is one season of plenty followed by several seasons of scarcity. And to mitigate that gap, we needed to be able to preserve what we have produced during the times of plenty to be used when we have scarcity. And that is where you can see that over here we have several of those groups that normally have methods of preservation and packaging to ensure that we preserve in a better form fruits and vegetables and other products that can be used during the scarcity season. Yes, we do have a problem of a reliance on rain-fed agriculture, but again, the cost of damming and the cost of providing water for irrigation remains very high in Kenya. But we are hoping this technology that has been very effective, it can actually come down in terms of cost if we continue being innovative in the way we do it. Because like now, I mean, I'm with many of the thoughts by our people that we do not have to have $1 billion to do, or $2 billion to do a very big dam. Well, we can be able to do simple dams across the gorges we have in the streams that can be able to retain water for about 3-4 months. And then after the rains, they refill again. Instead of doing a mega dam that is going to displace people, which becomes very costly to pay them a cost of moving, which is normally compensation. We use what is available in the gorges, and we can be able to have plenty of water for just a limited space of people. Then we do several of them.
Thank you so much. Those are just some of the views from Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki. They're just mentioning a number of strides that the Tharaka Nithi government has been able to achieve over the last years that he's been the leader there. And of course, these are just some of the exhibitions that we are showing you from this particular stand and several other stands here at Kirinyaga University grounds. That is where the 6th Devolution Conference is happening. And of course, we will be keen to look at how this particular conference will be ending here later on in the afternoon, where the Deputy President William Ruto is expected to officially close the 6th Devolution Conference here in Kirinyaga University. But for now, over to you, Edmond, in studio.
Thank you so much, Melita Oletenges, just showing us what is happening on the sidelines of the Devolution Conference happening at the Kirinyaga University. He mentioned the issue of agriculture and value addition and manufacturing and all those things. Have the youth really been involved in terms of just, you know, agriculture being the backbone of the Kenyan economy? How are the youth with that, really? Are we people who just want to sit in offices and suits, or can we get down to the farms and do actual farming work? Roy, what are your numbers saying about the youth and agriculture?
Edmond, we will want to also appreciate that agriculture has evolved from the traditional agriculture to the techno-savvy agriculture. And the youth are more keen on the technology and techno-savvy agriculture, the greenhouses and all that.
Yes.
And I think that is where the focus should be. And how do we now build capacity for the youth? Because if we go to the traditional agriculture, many youths don't want to be involved in the traditional, but they want to be involved in the modern agriculture where you just need to use technology and all that. So the issue is we need to focus on building capacity for the youth to leverage on technology so that they're comfortable in what they're doing.
All right.
Yes.
Before that, we had the people, the conference going on at National Museums of Kenya, the People Dialogue Festival organized by the Center for Multi-Party Democracy. And one of the issues being the Building Bridges initiative, all right? Gerald, as a young person, and we've had that the BBI team going, you know, around the country and, you know, listening to the voices of the people, asking them what they would want to see done within the framework of the initiative. As a young person, have you been contacted in any way by this initiative? Yes or no?
Personally, no.
Not yet.
Yes.
Do you know someone who has been, or at least in the effort of trying to incorporate the voices of the people, of the young people?
I have not had someone that I know personally,
okay, but
I've had 1 or 2 instances that the team is reaching out to some few people.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because a lot of the talk is revolving around, you know, the constitution and what needs to be changed, you know, the issues of corruption and all those other things, and women representation, which was being talked about there at the conference. What do you think the BBI initiative, Gerald, needs to do in terms of just incorporating the youth and their voices in this whole thing?
From my opinion, I would say the team needs to look at what affects the common manage, the person that on ground, the guy that drives a boda boda, the guy that listens to this radio, the guy that cooks food at a kibanda, the guy that draws art and doesn't make money. Some of this should come out from the boardrooms or the meetings and down to ground, rather literally talk to people and understand how these things are supposed to be done.
All right. Vivienne, at the end of the day, we expect the BBI team to come up with a report and perhaps recommendations. And you as a governance expert, there's a lot of issues being talked about right now on the national level and, of course, to an extent, the county government levels. We are talking about the issues of corruption. We are talking about issues of representation. We are talking about laws generally. What needs to be changed? The face of the government at national level in terms of, you know, having all communities represented, you know, 2/3 gender rule, those things. Corruption is a major issue right now. What do you expect at the end of this exercise that the BBI team is carrying out, really?
I expect to see, you know, some form of structure or, you know, a system in place that would allow for inclusivity and would allow for real, you know, initiatives towards national unity. Because at the end of the day, that's what the Building Bridges initiatives is mainly about, building, promoting unity, promoting national unity and inclusivity, so that we don't go back to a place where there's a lot of fighting, people saying we are not included, we are not heard, not just ethnically, but even in terms of gender and age. So I would expect to see, some framework, putting down systems or a structure where this can, so that it's not a short-lived thing, but something that we can use over time as our country and as our economy grows.
All right. Roy, have these people contacted you in any way as National Youth Council to just get to hear the voices of the youth?
As we speak right now, no. We are still following up on the progress so far. It started off as when the principals shook hands, and then now the developments after have been they've been huge developments, which we also trying to look at. And I think from what is happening at Kenya National Theatre, you can realize that there is a discussion on governance and political inclusion. And I think that's why, as the voice of the youth, we are keen on what is the discussion centered on. Is it on inclusion? We are part. We need to play a special role, because as a National Youth Council, we deal with inclusion of youth also in the political sphere. Yes. So it's a very healthy discussion we are having. We've not yet had contact with the BBI.
Don't you feel that is wrong? You should be represented, at least your voices. You have a policy that deals with the youth. Yes. 55% of the population, really. Yes. Don't you think it's about time they involved you in some of those deliberations?
Yeah, we think it's about time, and we appreciate that the process is ongoing. And when it comes to our contribution as youth and the youth voice, we will be willing to contribute, because our key mandate is to make sure that youths in their political sphere have been included and taking part, starting maybe from the inclusion of the members. We realize there is no youth, but those are past now. But in future, maybe we'll be very keen on that.
Have you reported to your parent ministry about some of the feelings you have about this?
Not yet. It's work in progress.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen and lady. Roy Sasaka, the CEO of the National Youth Council, and Vivienne Taa, who is a governance consultant and expert, and Gerald Gichuhi, who is a creative director of Tujenge Art Kenya, talking about devolution and the youth and the whole thing about governance and representation and the voice of the youth on matters concerning this country. Let's leave the serious and talk about a bit of entertainment with Usha Jose.
Right, Edmond. So first up on the entertainment scene, as usual, is the meme of the day, which should be coming up on your screens right about now. I have to say, I did put this up on Facebook, and a lot of you felt personally attacked. So, but yeah, well, you know yourselves. Pangeni line tafadhali. All right, and still on something else that can qualify for, I suppose, well, another meme in my opinion, and in a lot of Kenyans' opinion now, in his efforts, he called this the beautification of Nairobi. There is a new statue that the governor has had put up on the University Way roundabout. It's a statue of a, well, I think the idea was that it would be for that of a lion, but I'm not really sure that, is it? I mean, okay, a lot of the Kenyans don't seem to be sure, and they had a lot to say about it on several tweets, which we have sampled for you. That does it for the entertainment brief. It's back to Edmond. Clearly, we already know what your favorite story was. It's the South African Parliament one.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. But I think the Lion of Judah as well was
that was quite something.
Thank you so much, Usha, for the entertainment. That's it for NTV Today.